Hi, everyone. Emily Jashinsky, breaking news, coming to you with breaking news here. I'm not breaking the news because the news was broken by former President Donald Trump himself, who said tonight that he was informed by his attorneys that he would be indicted in the documents case. That would be the classified documents case. You remember the FBI's raid on Mar-a-Lago from last year. Trump has now been, the news has been broken not only by Trump, but by NBC as well. I'm reading from CNBC here. He was indicted on 7 criminal counts in the classified documents case. You'll remember all the way back in March, not actually that long ago. This is the second indictment now of the presidential cycle because he was indicted by a grand jury in New York all the way back then. So 2 indictments for one presidential candidate in the span of some months. Trump reacted with a video on Truth Social. He put out a statement on Truth Social. It's pretty much what you would expect from the former president, but take a look. You can watch it for yourself right here.
Very sadly, we're a nation in decline, and yet they go after a popular president, a president that got more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country, by far, and did much better the second time in the election than the first. And they go after him on a boxes hoax, just like the Russia hoax and all of the others. This has been going on for 7 years. They can't stop because it's election interference at the highest level. There's never been anything like what's happened. I'm an innocent man. I'm an innocent person. They had the Mueller hoax, the Mueller report, and that came out. No collusion after 2.5 years. That was set up by Hillary Clinton and Democrats. But this is what they do. This is what they do so well. If they would devote their energies to honesty and integrity, it would be a lot better for our country. They could do a lot better. They could do a lot of great things. Our country is going to hell, and they come after Donald Trump, weaponizing the Justice Department, weaponizing the FBI. We can't let this continue to go on because it's ripping our country to shreds. We have such big problems, and this shouldn't be one of them. It's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax, just like Russia, just like the fake dossier was a hoax. You saw the Durham report. You saw the Mueller report. It was all a big hoax. You had 2 impeachments, and they lost, and we won.
So he also wrote on Truth Social, "I never thought it possible that such a thing could happen to a former president of the United States. I am an innocent man," all caps. "This is indeed a dark day for the United States of America." Now, I'm reading a little bit from the CNBC article here. They say Trump has been the focus of a federal criminal investigation since last year over his stonewalling of requests to return government records, including classified documents, after ending his term as president. By law, such records must be returned when a president leaves office. So that became this huge fixation of the media, spectacle, obviously, last August when people were going through the various legal theories as to whether Donald Trump himself could declassify documents at a whim, basically, because of he's president. It's a question of presidential powers. Therefore, anything he said was declassified, whether or not he did it beforehand, whether or not he did it just by statement, like when Michael Scott comes out and declares bankruptcy. It's a serious question, sort of legally, as to whether a president can or cannot kind of wave the magic wand and declassify documents. From what I've seen, I'm no lawyer, as we all know, but from what I've seen, the weight of the argument seems to be that he really can't just wave the magic wand, say things are declassified, and then boom, it's all done. And one word you just heard in that CNBC report, which will be key for former President Trump, is stonewalling. Donald Trump, I think, is very, very right at the moment to, not just politically, but he's right on the merits, that there is a double standard because the Durham report just revealed the way the FBI treated the Clinton private server investigation and the Trump Russian collusion allegations. You can see pretty clearly, John Durham lays out pretty persuasive evidence that the FBI, through their own emails, text messages, was worried that Hillary Clinton was going to be president, and if they had pursued this investigation very rigorously, would get in trouble, that she would turn on the DOJ. You can actually hear them talking about that. Whereas with Donald Trump, they thought, there's no chance he's going to become president. Remember, Peter Strzok said to his mistress at the time, Lisa Page, "We have an insurance policy." And then acted out an insurance policy. So without getting into the weeds of that, you're going to see this emerge once again. House Republicans right now are fixated on that document in which a highly credible, they say, paid FBI informant made an allegation that Joe Biden took some $5 million to change his position on, I think it was actually Ukraine at the time, the more we're learning about it, and that this is all tied up in the Biden family lobbying, and the FBI dropped the case or booted it over to Delaware in a way that, again, contrasts very sharply with the Russia collusion investigation. And so now when you have the documents case, and you have Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Mike Pence, all being found in the span of some months to possess classified documents in their personal areas and in ways that were not properly classified by the National Records and the Presidential Records Act, which is the law in the heart of the question here. So now when you have that coming, Donald Trump has already used it. He is already obviously invoking that potential double standard that the media went crazy on the merits of Donald Trump having these classified documents. And it was just sort of a whimper when all of these other classified documents started turning up in Joe Biden's garage or at his, various sort of think tank facilities over the years. And that, again, like there's truth to that, but that key word from CNBC is going to be stonewalling. So what could really separate the Trump case from the other cases is whether he actually tried to obstruct the government in getting records that it believed belonged to it and that it believed were had not been properly classified via the Presidential Records Act and all of the procedure there. So, I mean, there's like sort of an interesting legal question, but for me, the sort of 30,000-foot view take is that Donald Trump does really embody all of the criticisms he levels against the political establishment. But, and here's the key but, doesn't make it right. It just means that for voters, it's baked into the Trump cake. Everybody knows this about Donald Trump. Nobody expects that Donald Trump, the man who campaigned by saying, I know the system, I alone can fix it, basically with the argument that he was part of the broken system. He made no real illusions about that. So his contention that he alone could fix it is, again, baked into the Trump cake. It's just sort of, voters know that about him. They expect it from him. And so I think that still, that so many people say, I just want a bulldozer, even if it's a corrupt bulldozer, that's still going to work for Trump and the sort of purely electoral level. He's saying it's election interference. I mean, it's a double standard for sure. It's absolutely a double standard. Whether it rises to election interference or just plain sort of partisan lawfare, maybe a legitimate question there, but I don't think there's any doubt. I don't think even a lot of Trump voters would say this man is pure of heart and has never done anything wrong in his life. But it is obviously the case that what he calls the deep state, what you could call the sort of defense apparatus, the surveillance state, does continue to pursue things, pursue charges, pursue, if you can indict a ham sandwich, like they're treating Donald Trump like that experimental or like that hypothetical ham sandwich, and definitely subjecting him to a different level of scrutiny than pretty much anybody in the political establishment has gotten for years. That doesn't make what Donald Trump did right. It just means that this is another sign that we are in a really deeply unhealthy place, because now people are in this position of defending Donald Trump, of defending something that's wrong. And if Republicans do that, they shouldn't. But at the same time, that defense should also not, just act as though this isn't a glaring double standard and that it isn't a symptom of a completely amok defense apparatus with totally amok surveillance state and a really, really unhealthy society. So that's the sort of basic takeaway that I'm having. Obviously, this is breaking news, so more is going to continue to come out on a minute-by-minute basis, as is the case so often these days. But we'll keep following the story and bringing you updates here on Breaking Points. Thanks for watching.